December 2nd, 1993. A hot afternoon in Medellín, Colombia. On a quiet street in the Los Olivos neighborhood, police radios crackle with urgent Spanish. Teco, esta en el teco. A barefoot man in shorts and a blue shirt scrambles across orange roof tiles, pistol in hand. 3 shots ring out. He falls. Blood runs down the tiles like rain. Soldiers rush forward shouting, laughing, taking photographs with the body. The man weighs more than 200 pounds, has a thick black mustache, and a bullet wound straight through his right ear. His name is Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria. 44 years old. At one point the 7th-richest man on the planet Earth. This is the true, unvarnished story of how a schoolboy who once sold fake diplomas and stole gravestones became the most feared and wealthiest criminal who ever lived, and how, in the end, the entire world decided he had to die December 1st, 1949. The small town of Rionegro, Antioquia. A baby cries in a modest adobe house. His father, Pablo Escobar, is a hard-working but poor farmer who spends his days tending cattle and coffee plants. His mother, Hermilda Gaviria, is a primary school teacher with iron discipline and burning ambition for her children. She will remain until the very last day of his life, the only human being Pablo Escobar is genuinely afraid to disappoint. Pablo is the third of 7 children. From the beginning, he is different, restless, cunning, obsessed with money and respect. By age 10, he is already telling classmates that one day he will be president of Colombia. They laugh. He does not. At 12, he is running small scams, selling fake lottery tickets, smuggling contraband cigarettes into school, stealing fruit from markets, and reselling it at a markup. At 14, he moves to the big city Medellín with his family. The city is rough, violent, hungry. Perfect for a boy with no limits. He begins stealing tombstones from the cemetery at night, sanding off the names with acid and a grinder, then reselling them as new to grieving families. It is his first real business. He makes thousands of pesos a week while his classmates are still doing homework. By 17, he is joyriding in stolen Renaults and Toyotas. His first arrest comes in 1966 for car theft. A mugshot shows a baby-faced teenager who already stares at the camera like he owns the room. Prison does not scare him. It educates him. He meets older criminals, learns the hierarchy, understands that fear and money are the only 2 currencies that matter. When he walks out, he never wants to be poor or powerless again. In his early 20s, he graduates to kidnapping. His crew snatches wealthy industrialists and holds them in mountain hideouts until ransom is paid. One of his earliest big scores, a Medellín executive named Diego Echeverria. They demand and receive the equivalent of 100,000 US DOLLARs. But kidnapping is slow, risky, and personal. Pablo is looking for scale. And then, in the early 1970s, something new appears on the streets of Colombia: cocaine. Not the coca leaf that Andean farmers have chewed for centuries, but pure white powder that sells in New York and Miami for $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a kilo. Pablo sees the future in a single glance. He does not invent cocaine trafficking. He perfects it. He forms alliances with 3 other ambitious Antioquian families, the Ochoa brothers, Jorge Juan David, and Fabio, the murderous emerald kingpin Jose Rodriguez Gacha, known as El Mexicano, and a wild half-Colombian, half-German playboy named Carlos Letta, who owns his own island in the Bahamas. Together they create something never seen before, a multinational corporation of crime. They call it the Medellín Cartel. They revolutionize the business model. Instead of smuggling a few kilos in suitcases, they buy raw coca paste from peasants in Peru and Bolivia for $2,000 a kilo, fly it to secret jungle laboratories in Colombia, refine it into pure cocaine, then ship hundreds of kilos at a time directly into the United States using small private planes that land on deserted Florida highways at 3 a.m. Lights off, guided only by car headlights on the road. Carlos Letta buys an entire island, Normanus Cay, turns it into a refueling station and party paradise guarded by men with machine guns. By 1978, they are moving tons. Let me give you the numbers, because they are almost impossible to believe. In 1975, a kilo of cocaine in Miami costs around $50,000. By 1980, the street price has risen slightly, but the Medellín Cartel is now flying 15 tons a month into the United States. 15 tons! That is for $120 million a month in revenue. Cash U.S. $100 bills flown back to Colombia in the same planes, wrapped in plastic, hidden in spare tires, stuffed into the walls of houses until the walls literally bulge. In 1987, Forbes magazine, the same magazine that lists Rockefeller and Getty, places Pablo Escobar at number 7 on its list of the world's richest men, with an estimated net worth of $3 billion. He laughs when he reads it. He says the real number is closer to $30 billion. He spends the money like a man trying to buy immortality. He builds Hacienda Nápoles, a 7,000-acre estate with 6 swimming pools, artificial lakes, a private bull ring, a collection of dinosaurs built life-size in concrete, and his own personal zoo, hippos, giraffes, zebras, elephants flown in from Africa. He installs a vintage 1920s roadster from Al Capone's collection on a pedestal at the entrance gate. The gate itself has a single-engine Piper Cub airplane bolted on top, the very plane that flew his first load. He throws parties that last for days. Miss Colombia contestants, famous soccer players, politicians, beauty queens, everyone comes. He buys 500 houses in the poorest barrio of Medellín, gives them away rent-free to homeless families, and names the neighborhood Barrio Pablo Escobar. He builds soccer fields with floodlights, churches, schools. Old women kiss his hand in the street markets. Children chant his name. He tells reporters, "I'm just a poor man who helps other poor people." Many believe him. In 1982, at only 32 years old, he achieves the impossible. He is elected as an alternate member of Congress. He wears a suit, takes the oath, sits in the chamber in Bogota wearing a turtleneck and a blazer, grinning like a schoolboy. Congressional immunity means he cannot be extradited to the United States. Extradition is the only thing he truly fears, more than prison, more than death. He believes he is now untouchable. But power like his cannot stay quiet. In 1984, a brave young justice minister named Rodrigo Lara Bonilla stands up in Congress and names Pablo Escobar as a narco-trafficker in front of the entire nation. 3 weeks later, on a Bogota highway, 2 teenagers on a motorcycle pull up beside Lara's white Jeep and empty their guns into him. The minister dies on the pavement. The message is clear. No one is off limits. From that moment, the war begins. Pablo coins the phrase that will define an era, plata o plomo. Silver or lead. Take the bribe, but take the bullet. Most choose silver. Those who choose lead, more than 200 judges, dozens of journalists, 3 presidential candidates, hundreds of police officers. On November 6, 1985, the M19 guerrilla group, secretly paid millions by Escobar, storms the Palace of Justice in Bogota with trucks full of guns. They burn the entire extradition archive. 98 people die, including 11 Supreme Court justices. The evidence against Pablo turns to ash. 1989 becomes the year Colombia almost collapses. August 18th, Luis Carlos Galen, the charismatic presidential candidate who promised to extradite Escobar the day he took office, is machine-gunned to death on a stage in front of thousands of supporters. September 2nd, a truck bomb explodes outside the newspaper El Espectador, minus 200 wounded. December 6th, a 1,000-pound bomb destroys the headquarters of the DAS security agency in Bogota, 63 dead, 600 injured, entire city blocks flattened. And then, November 27th, 1989, Avianca Flight 203 leaves Bogota bound for Cali. 5 minutes after takeoff, a bomb hidden in a suitcase explodes. All 107 people on board die, including 2 American citizens. The target was presidential candidate Cesar Gaviria, who, at the last moment, decided not to take that flight. The United States declares total war. By 1991, the country is bleeding. More than 500 police officers have been murdered in Medellin alone. Pablo makes an offer. If Colombia bans extradition forever, he will surrender and go to prison. The government, exhausted, terrified, and politically divided, agrees. A new constitution is written in 1991. Article 35, extradition of Colombian nationals is prohibited. Pablo wins. In June 1991, he descends from the mountains in a convoy of jeeps and surrenders on national television, smiling, waving to the cameras like a rock star. He is taken to a prison called La Catedral, a prison he himself designed and paid for. It sits on a hill overlooking Medellin. Inside, a disco with mirrored balls, a jacuzzi, a waterfall, a full-sized soccer field with stadium lights, a bar stocked with Johnny Walker Black, satellite TV, fax machines, and cellular phones. The guards are handpicked and paid by him. Visitors come and women come and go at all hours. He continues running the cartel from a desk inside his cell. When two of his lieutenants steal money, he has them brought to La Catedral, tortures them personally with a blowtorch, then dismembers them in the soccer field while his bodyguards watch. In July 1990, till the government finally tries to transfer him to a real prison. Pablo is informed hours in advance. When the army helicopters land, they find the gates open and the prison empty. He simply walks out with his men into the night. Now there is no deal left. He is the most wanted man in the world, with a $10 million bounty on his head. The hunt becomes merciless. A vigilante death squad calling itself Los Peps, people persecuted by Pablo Escobar, begins a campaign of terror against everything he loves. They bomb his mansions, burn his car collections, murder his lawyers in broad daylight, kill his cousins, kidnap his brother-in-law. It is later revealed that Los Peps is funded by the rival Cali cartel and receives intelligence directly from members of the Colombian police and the American D and CIA. The United sends Delta Force operators and Central Spike electronic surveillance teams. They bug every phone in Medellin. They track radio signals to within meters. Pablo is now on the run with his 16-year-old son Juan Pablo, his daughter Manuela, and his wife Victoria. They move every 2 or 3 days, sleeping in cold mountain farms, abandoned houses, safe rooms with no windows. One night in the mountains, little Manuela, only 9 years old, is freezing. Pablo takes $2 million in cash, lights it on fire in a metal drum, and warms his daughter with burning $100 bills. By late 1993, his world is closed in. Most of his sicarios are dead or have surrendered. His money is running out. He is overweight, depressed, speaking to his family only in brief, risky radio calls. On December 2nd, 1993, the day after his 44th birthday, he decides to call his son from a modest middle-class house in Medellin. He talks for 14 minutes and 30 seconds. That is all the time the search block needs. Electronic triangulation pinpoints the exact building. Police surround the block. Pablo hears the helicopters, grabs a Beretta pistol, climbs out the second-floor window onto the roof. He runs across the orange tiles barefoot. A sniper from the search block fires 3 times. One bullet hits his leg, one his back, one enters just below his right ear and exits the top of his head. He collapses. The soldiers who reach him first cheer, cry, take photographs. One famous picture shows a young policeman holding Pablo's head by the hair, smiling triumphantly for the camera. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was directly or indirectly responsible for the deaths of at least 1,000 human beings, police, judges, journalists, innocent bystanders, rival traffickers, and many of his own men. Within 15 months of his death, every major leader of the Medellin cartel was either dead or in prison. But the cocaine trade did not miss a single shipment. It simply moved to new hands. He once said he wanted to be remembered as a man who gave to the poor and stood up to the powerful. In the end, the poor forgot him the moment the free houses stopped coming, and the powerful never feared anyone more. He became the richest criminal in history. He also became the loneliest man in Colombia. He wanted to be loved by the poor and feared by the powerful. In the end, he was feared by everyone, and loved by no one, long paws, wind over modern Medellin. The hippos from his private zoo still roam the rivers of Antioquia today. They are the only part of his empire that refuses to die.